Okay. We start again.
Hello.
Do you have to unmute? We now have the TAs presenting the four cases.
Is it on?
Yes. Remember that this is not the only way to solve these cases. It's just the way that they choose to solve them. So there are other alternatives, there are other options as well. Just so it's clear, this is not the only way. There is no only way. It always depends. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, case one, taste of wine. I'm Sean, and I'm TA of some of you. For the others, nice to meet you. So, starting with the assumption, there is, for us, we agree with the kind of view that there is some viability risk for these new sensors that cover different products and are entering the market. Moreover, in the analysis, we're going to use the assumption that there is no competition in the wine market yet, and that Milkfos has a lot of co-development with the dairy industry of Denmark. Starting with the business model canvas to have a nice overview of the company, we can start seeing that the customer segment is the dairy industry. And if you research into it, you will see that the Danish dairy industry is mainly made by one company, that is Arla. To them, they provide high-quality sensors that are specialized for the dairy industry. And as we said in our assumption, there is a lot of cooperation and co-creation also. Other main activities that are worth mentioning now is what they do. It's mainly in manufacturing, research and development. This is also seen in their cost structure. And for the revenue, probably they have both sales, but also after sales maintenance and customer support. Going to the problem, we said that we agree with the view that there is a long-term viability risk given by this convergence in the market. But moreover, we can also see some kind of smaller internal problem like the lack of communication and trust in Milkfos, and the engineering of Milkfos uses unauthorized resources. But since it's mainly a strategical problem, we think that it's in the strategical level, and therefore it's a CEO problem. Going to the causes, starting with external causes, we can use the model from the external forces, and we can draw some main conclusion. First of all, there is this danger dependence from Arla, because it's mainly they just have one customer, so he has a lot of power. But also they are a very close mindset towards new opportunities and new customers. And there is this upcoming competition. To summarize a bit better these general thoughts, you can use, for example, the Porter 5 forces model. And you will see that basically there are some things that are not so important, like the bargain power of suppliers, because we think, okay, electronics, probably they develop a lot in the house. But as we were saying, the customer are really, really powerful. So if at one moment Arla decides to drop Milkfos, what they're going to do? And at the same time, probably we can see that there are new threats entering and new products that come from different sectors. So all in all, we can say that it's a quite competitive industry and it's a dangerous environment. So since we're talking about competitors, why don't we look about how the competitive analysis of this company is? From our thoughts, they're doing a lot in efficiency. The product is recognized as high quality from the customer, and the current customer are served very well. But at the same time, probably they miss something about speed and flexibility and tackling these new opportunities. And why is this? Probably it's a strategic focus that is wrong. So if you think about the STAR model, this is one of the sub-models that you can find there. And you can see that they focus mostly on improving operation and doing things better and better. But maybe they should also try to do something new. Okay, so how we can summarize what we said until now with a single model to give a nice picture? I think efficiency and effectiveness work very well. So we didn't find any problem in terms of efficiency because, yeah, doing fine. But at the same time, when we talk about effectiveness, they could improve. So what we're going to do next is try to improve the effectiveness. And how to improve the effectiveness? We're going to work on a business model probably. So they could either keep going on and kind of trying to improve the competitive advantage by working on the responsive to customers, quality and efficiency. As we said in the model before, things are going already well, but this wouldn't solve the main problem. So they could go and try to expand their business model, and they could do it by going into the international dairy market, to the wine market, because they have this new interesting opportunity, or find out if other industries are interesting. But still now we have 3 opportunities, and it's still a bit hard to decide. So we made kind of a comparison between these 3 options. First of all, the risk is for sure lower if you go in the international dairy industry because you know a lot about it. But at the same time, maybe Arla will not be happy that you help the other competitors. And we also thought that if you go to very industrialized beverages, then there are already a lot of sensors, so other industry maybe is not the one. Therefore, we decided to go on with the wine market. And how we're going to go on with the wine market? We're going to form a joint venture with the wine producer. The main aspect that you can see here is that there is a new key partner, and instead of serving the dairy industry, it will serve the wine industry, but the rest is okay. It's pretty much the same. And this is why it creates value for both business, because now we have some integration between the 2 business models, and especially in the area of research and development and cost structure. So by the 2 business models will help each other, and the company could have better prices and be more prepared for the threats of competition. To finish the analysis, we can just do a rapid robustness check. Of course, if it's not in danger, well, by doing this, they're just expanding their customer base, so it's not a big issue. And if there are wine competitors, actually, they maybe have to be a bit harder to conquer that market. And if there wasn't this correlation, co-development relationship with Arla, and maybe Arla would be okay of going to the dairy industry abroad, then maybe that could be also a smart choice to start with. Thank you. Questions now? Questions? Yeah? Maybe I can...
You start off by talking about one of the problems is the lack of trust in the company,
Yeah.
but you don't really say much more about it than that.
Yeah.
That it's just a problem.
That's a very good point. Of course, if now I was at a bit limited time, but you should also have presented some kind of the star model of your solution, because you always have to remember that when you give a suggestion, you have to explain how the implementation works. But yeah, you should have done that. Other? Yeah?
In the last business canvas model, you seemed in the customer segment to have excluded the dairy market.
Because it's a joint venture, so it's a completely new company, kind of. Yeah. All right? I think that's it. So, Marco, you're up next.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean. Can you hear me? Yeah. Because it's PDF. So, hello everybody, my name is Marco and I'm doing the case analysis of the second case, soft performance. So let's start with the assumptions. So we made 3 main assumptions that are really important for our case. So the first one is that there is a market for a management system software based on KPI, and this KPI system is beneficial for the customer if it's used in the correct way. So we can assume that the market is ready for soft performance, but they are not ready for the market. And finally, the organization does not have a formal structure right now. Then let's move to the key problem and problem owner. So we state that the key problem is that soft performance lacks organizational structure that leads to financial instability, and the problem owners are Casper and Duke, located in the strategic level. Then there is a little summary of the identified causes. So the first one is that the software proposed is not really user-friendly, and the interpretation of the data coming out from it is difficult from the client side. And moreover, these data are going to the wrong people, so to middle managers that do not have the power to affect the change. And finally, there is a poor company structure, as said before, with no definitive roles. And yeah, there is a need of a person in the middle that can explain the client company how to interpret and use the data gathered to this software. Then the SWOT analysis. The main strengths are that they are really IT knowledge-based, and they have high motivation among the employees, and they have a good reputation in the company. But they also have a lot of weaknesses, as they spend a lot of time on the project, leading to high internal cost. They have low profit, and they lack formal structure and management competencies. But there are a lot of opportunities also, because there is a demand for a KPI system like this one, and assistance is requested. And there is the opportunity to gain knowledge by hiring some management experts. And finally, regarding the threats, there is a risk of losing customers because maybe, and competitive advantage, because maybe your competitors are adapting faster to the customer needs, and there are low revenue with no investments apart from the initial one. Then there is the business model canvas. In black is the current situation, and in red there are the new improvements thanks to our solution. So I will just cite some of them because otherwise it took a lot of time. So mainly in the value proposition, that is the main block. The KPI-based management system will be improved thanks to the interpretation of data from the system and tutorials to help client with a customized service. And the revenue streams will be, the software license fee will be initial, and it will be added a personal assistance to the service. And yeah, in this way we can have a long-term relationship with our customer thanks to this maintenance and software updates. And it will not just be a single solution that you buy once and then that's it. And also the key partners will be, apart from DTU and first clients, there will also be investors, other investors and consultants that will help us. Then let's move to the star model. In black is the current star model, and in red there are the improvements. The same of the business model canvas, so thanks to our solution. So the strategy will be improved by technical and personal business support, while the structure is the main part of the solution that I'm going to propose you. So the poor organizational structure that is highlighted right now in the company will be expanded thanks to a structure based on division, so really flexible. And in this way we can also improve the processes, because we can see that there is a lack of vertical and horizontal flow of information, while the reward seems to be quite fine. And in people practices, we can add management and organization competencies with hiring of a new management, and we can think about implementing Shane's models of organizational culture in this part. Moving to the efficiency and effectiveness, right now we are low, so low effectiveness and low efficiency, but we would like to move into the high sector, so top right, and because we think that's the correct path. So quickly, the solution is to hire a management expert that helps the company to move into a defined organizational structure, as the one, for example, proposed by the book, so the 3 organizational level with the strategic, tactical, and operational level. So today we don't have any defined roles. It seems to be not really structured, and in the future we can have a structure that seems more like this one. So there will be Casper and Luke at the top, but there will be a division into departments with clear roles and tasks. So for example, there will be a research and development department, sales and marketing and production with all the employees under that. And in this way we can improve all the 4 parts that were like kind of low or weak in the star model. And finally, we will check the robustness of our initial 3 assumptions. I stated before that the assumptions are really strong in this case, so there is a market for management system based on KPI. If not, the company needs to change the business or there is no business, so it's really hard. The KPI system is beneficial for the customers if it's used in the correct way. If not, the company needs to change the product in order to be more helpful for the clients. And finally, the organization does not have a formal structure. That seems to be really clear, but we are not sure. So in case there is already a structure, this structure can be adapted or slightly changed. And that's it. Thank you for the attention. Do you have any questions? Okay, thank you.
It's working as well? Can you hear me? Should be on. Yes. Okay, perfect. Hi from my side, I'm Jonathan. For all of those who don't know me, I'm going to present the recap of the continuous walk. That was the case with Jang, Mr. Balloon, and the spring rolls, just to give you a short fresh up. And I'm going to start right away with our key problem and our key problem owner. And after all our analysis, we came to the conclusion that for us, the key problem is the lack of strategy to adapt some new changes which are currently out in the market and which will occur in the future business. And therefore, if we're talking about this new strategy, we had to figure out the problem owner, which in our case is Mr. Balloon and is on a strategical level. So to back this key problem up a little bit, we did a SWOT analysis, and first we looked internally at the strengths of the company. And on the one side, we can see that the company has a lot of experience in the field. The company is more than 25 years old. There's a good working atmosphere, so people like to work there. And there's as well some willingness to change in the company. It's just very, defined for a couple of people and not the whole organization. And on top of all of that, the employees are really experienced as well, since they've been there for multiple years, most of them. On the other side, we have the weaknesses, which are internally as well. We have a poor quality product. We have not really an effective production line. We have a lack of implementation of change, what I said before, that there is some need of change, and some people have ideas, but just the implementation is not going through. On the other hand, we have the external side with huge opportunities when it comes to the new technology which is out there. So there is the continuous walk, there is the IT system which can be used, and we have on the other side huge threats coming up for the balloon company. First of all, we have competitors which will probably develop new technology and use it to have a cheaper or a better product, and we have customers that may change their demand from low quality product to high quality product. And we can support those threats by looking at the key external forces. So, for example, if we have the key trends, people travel more the world and experience better food worldwide. And we have, in general, increase of customers who want good quality products and good quality food as well. On the other side, we have the market forces. For customers, it's pretty easy to buy the spring rolls A today and the spring rolls B tomorrow, so the switching costs are super low. And on top of that, we have a revenue attractiveness which is quite high. So for new competitors to enter the market with a good technology, they will get a lot of revenue and a lot of profit out of that business. Then we have the macroeconomic economic forces, which in our case are related to the globalization. So it's quite easy for a producer of spring rolls to spread those spring rolls all over the market according to easy transport ways. And then, last but not least, the industry forces. Regarding to the technology I already spoke about with the continuous walk and the IT system to improve the products in the production line. So to sum up all those causes and all those problems, and to give them a little bit backup, we can say that on the one side, the problem is the comfortable market situation which the balloon company is in right now. So they don't really feel a need of change. And in addition to that, we have Mr. Balloon, who is more or less in charge of everything right now and is not really willing to implement any changes. And therefore, a balloon company has as well a structural problem. So what is the solution for that problem? So if we need a long-term strategy, for sure, the solution is to implement such a new long-term strategy. But how should the strategy look like? And we had 3 different solutions, which we then choose one out of it. And we went for the first one, to implement a new high-quality product. So we don't only have one product anymore, which is the low-quality product. We have another product, which is a very high-quality product, and includes the implementation of the continuous walk. Another option would have been to just go with our current product, but improve the quality by having the IT solution, which we already have kind of in the company with the engineer and the technician, or just change the organization of the company to have another strategical layout and have Mr. Balloon not in this huge power circumstances anymore, but give him less responsibilities and give more responsibilities to the separate departments. But as I said before, we went for the first option, to have a more diversified product portfolio. And to realize that, we for once buy the continuous walk. And for a second, we build up an R&D department, which is responsible for the technology in general, but as well for innovations and future trends in the future as well. So if we look at the new business model canvas, and I just want to point out the orange sentences, which is the new strategy or the new business model canvas, then we have a new value proposition, because now we don't only feed the market for cheap food and cheap products, we as well have a market or a value proposition for high-end quality spring rolls. And therefore our customer segment changed as well, because now we have people who really care about what they eat, and they want to have high quality product because they used to have that maybe on their vacation in China. So we have a new customer segment. And what changes therefore as well is the revenue stream. So now we have high quality products with a high margin but lower volume. And before we had just the opposite, with a low margin but a higher volume. And on the other side, on the backstage part of the business model canvas, we can see that we have new key partners with Ingenuity, with Zhang and his technology. And then we have a new activities, because now we have to brand 2 different products, which is really important, because otherwise we're going to steal the customers from our own products. Then, just to point out how our organization will change, a little overview of the main changes at the star model. So we have now a long-term strategy, which we define exactly where we want to go with. And we can see a difference in the structure as well, because we now have clear responsibilities about the technology and about the innovations, and we know which people belong to which department. And we have new processes, because we have 2 production lines, one for the cheaper product and one for the high-end product. So last but not least, here a little overview of how we would structure this new company. And we see the new R&D department, including the engineer and the technician, and the other departments right next to it, referring then to the CEO, Mr. Balloon. And that was my presentation. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay.
Now? Yes. Okay, I'm going to start again.
Yeah, so I'm going to present case 4, human tech, and I am Anna. I started out by identifying the key problem and the key problem owner. The key problem identified as being the organization strategy has not been implemented correctly, and the key problem owner is situated at strategic level and is the CEO or top management team. Then I also moved on to make an assumption, and this was basically to back up my analysis. So the assumption is that the new strategy set by human tech is correct. And then I moved on with the causal explanation, and this was to identify the causes that actually was to blame for the key problem to have occurred. I went on to make a SWOT analysis. I'm not going to go through all the points, but basically in the strengths, they have expertise because it's an old company. They have also some high specialization, knowledge within technology innovation. And in weaknesses, we have some lack of communication and motivation. We have lack of team spirit and teamwork. We have some poor time management. No follow-up on activities, and so forth. In the opportunities, there is to restructure the organization or to expand globally. And the threats that the human tech is facing is loss of competitive advantage or loss of employees. Then looking at the effectiveness and efficiency model, I have placed them at having a high effectiveness and a low efficiency, and this is due to that they are pretty much having a good goal, so they want to change. However, they are not using the time correct, so they have a low efficiency. And we of course want them to have a high effectiveness and high efficiency, and this is what we're going to work towards accomplishing. My current business model, just one of the main points is the value proposition is that customer adjusted footwear, walking sticks, and wheelchairs. And of course, this current business model is before they have actually implemented the strategy. The key partners, suppliers, retailers, the customer segment are disabled people. The cost structure is value driven, and the revenue stream is asset sales. They have indirect distribution and so forth. The current star model, right now as it is, because I am dealing with the strategy, that also means that it will affect all the other elements. So we have a misalignment between all the elements. And this again, we're going to fix through the solutions. In the competitive advantage, we see again in my threads there was one of the things they're going to lose competitive advantage if they don't change. So one of the things is that they have very low efficiency, they have very low responsiveness to the customers. Basically, they're not producing anything right now. They have no real flexibility, low speed. However, they do have innovation. They're just not gotten any of the products out yet. The quality of the products are somewhat good. I mean, they have not had any conflicts beforehand. We just don't know how the products are going to be when they actually are going to be developed. Moving on to the 5 stages of group development. In the case, we also saw that they are experiencing a lot of conflicts in the team. So right now, they have just bypassed the forming stage, and they are at the storming stage. And we can see that they have not reached the performing stage, and that is basically why they have not performed anything or gotten any products developed yet. So to summarize my identified causes, internally there is a misalignment of strategy, structure, processes, rewards, and people's practice. And this leads to a lack of communication, power management, and no results in the research and development department. There's a lack of teamwork, team spirit, and motivation. There's no clear structure in which there are clear responsibilities and tasks. Employees work too much on other projects. There's a risk of losing their competitive advantage due to low speed, low flexibility, low efficiency, and low responsiveness to customers. Human tech also risk losing employees. So this can maybe result in a risk of organizational failure. They also risk losing customers due to an increase in web-based competition, and this again refers back to they are at risk of losing their competitive advantage. Then I made some proposals to solutions to actually overcome all of these causes and create a solution for the key problem. I started out by looking at the organizational structure because I found that as one of the fundamental problems in the organization. Basically, they have created this really great strategy. However, the structure is just not following through. So one of the things that I could do is to have no change. That would obviously not fix my key problem. And so it was very easy to go with the chains, and then I should choose the product team structure or the matrix structure. And I chose the matrix structure, and that was because I wanted a lot of flexibility. I wanted the organization to be very flat because we are dealing with innovation and speed and all of that. And again, in my matrix structure, I'm going to have a flat, it's going to be flat, flexible, organic. We're going to have horizontal flow of functional responsibilities, vertical flow of product responsibilities. We're going to have cross-functional teams. 2+ employees, the authority are going to be decentralized, and we're going to have specialized needs of the particular products. And I created a structure for them. Matrix structure, we can see the horizontal flow of functions, and we have the vertical flow of product managers, product responsibilities. And in the middle, in the circles, we have the different cross-functional teams. So basically, we are taking down people from the different functions and creating cross-functional teams. Yeah, and then I have placed the human resource and the service and repair people along with the CEO, up there. In my new business model, I haven't changed so much because, of course, I was focusing mostly at the internal aspect, but we still need to also focus on how they generate money and so forth. Now, when they have implemented the strategy, we're going to have the integrated IT technology, which they laid out from the beginning. We're going to have a very high emphasis on innovation, and we're going to have some physical resources, and in key activities, we're going to have innovation as well, so research and development. My new star model, again, the strategy is going to stay the same because it was really great. The structure is going to change to a matrix structure. We're going to have some reciprocal processes. We're going to have clear vertical and horizontal processes. In rewards, I'm going to have some social events. I'm going to use the expectancy model and so forth. And people's practices, we're going to have some team building workshops, team meetings and so forth as well. And because we are dealing with a change, we need to go through the 4 steps of organizational change. I mean, we cannot just throw out the change without actually implementing it. To start out with the 4 steps of organizational change, we're going to assess the need for change. So the need is to focus on innovation and implement the strategy correctly. We're going to decide on the change to make. We're going to restructure the organization, motivate the employees, and so forth. And we're going to implement the change. I have chosen a top-down approach, and that is because we need to have this change happen really quickly. And that also means that we need to communicate why we need to change very clearly throughout the different layers. We're going to restructure, we're going to have some team building exercises. And then we cannot stop when we are at the implementation stage because we don't know if it's actually going to be implemented or we don't know what the outcome is. So we're going to evaluate. We're going to have some comparison between the performance from the previous situation and the present situation. We're going to evaluate customer satisfaction, so is it decreased or increased? And we're going to have some meetings, feedback, and service with the employees. So there's going to be a lot of emphasis on the feedback section here. And then to summarize my solutions, to summarize my solutions, we're going to reorganize the company. We're going to use a matrix structure, establish a clear responsibility, and so forth. We're going to set up a reward system. We're going to take use of the expectancy model, open up communication, and it might also be reasonable to hire a new product manager. Just the last slide. So the robustness check, if the new strategy set by Human Tech is correct. this was my assumption. Then if the strategy is not correct, then we need to redo the whole process, starting from setting the right strategy, including goals, vision, mission. And that was basically my presentation.
I am just, am I on? Am I on? Yes. I'm just going to pick up because we don't have so much time and we have the multiple choice test briefing. I just would like to thank our TAs for the presentation. We hope you got an idea of how to solve different cases. Remember, this is just some of the options that you can follow. When you're working with your report, remember there are presentations, the slides are uploaded on CampusNet with the different recommendations on how to do case analysis. Remember to start with the problem and the key problem owner and to maintain the coherence throughout the whole report. One other important thing is to remember the implementation. So if your main problem regards competitive advantage and therefore you work with the business model canvas, like Jonathan did, then you need to reflect upon the implementation and the STAR model in your implementation chapter. Vice versa, Marana worked with the organizational performance as the main problem, so she worked a lot with the STAR model, but still in the implementation part, she reflected on how the business model is going to be affected by it.
You too. Thank you.
So remember that it's important to have the two things considered and aligned, because otherwise the report would not be complete. One of the main key points or takeaways from TEMO is that you need to have both competitive advantage and organizational performance for value creation to be there and for the manager and the organization to be successful. So remember to consider both and remember the implementation part of your solutions. So the interesting part, I know you're here just for this, multiple choice test briefing. The test will be next week on Wednesday. It will be in these 3 rooms, so this auditorium, the next one, and the cinema in 11681. It will last for 45 minutes, and it will start at 9:30. So be here before 9:30. We will open the door, I think 15 minutes or something like that, 5 minutes before the time to allow you to come in. Do not come in the classrooms until we say so, because we need to prepare them. And be on time, because we start at 9:30. The test is a scratch-off test, which allows you to learn while you're taking the test. There are 25 questions, and they're based on the curriculum, so on the books, and on the cases that you have worked with in the afternoon. You have 45 minutes, and you have 4 answers possibilities, and the tests are randomized, so you don't all have the same question and answers. When you have read the question and you think you found the right answer, you scratch one of these. If you find a star below, it means you're right and you can move on. If you haven't found a star, you get another option. So you can think again, okay, if this was not right, what would be the right question? And you scratch until you find the right answer. Very good tip, use your question sheet before you scratch off to sign the line you have to scratch on off. Once you have scratched off, no second chances. So if you scratch off and it's wrong and it's because you're scratching the wrong line, that's a mistake, you're losing points. We cannot do anything about it for technical reasons. So use your question sheet to keep track of the line you're scratching. The test counts for 30% of the mark, and here there is a link to a video that shows how this works, but I just explained it to you. It should be quite clear, otherwise you look at the video. No papers allowed, so coin, pen, and ID, nothing else. You can't have extra paper to write on. You can write on the question sheet. We are not going to look at the question sheet.
You also can have a dictionary, right?
Yes, and you can have a dictionary, but only a language dictionary, no technical dictionaries and stuff. Usual rules for the TU exams. The points. When you scratch and you get the right answer the first time, you get 5 points. The second time, you get 2 points. and the third times you get 1 point. It means you have 2 possibilities to get it wrong and to learn in the process. The reason why we do this is because we believe that once you get it wrong the first time, then you'll think more about it the second or the third time, and then after taking the exam, you will actually remember the questions that you did wrong, and maybe you will go home and check why was it wrong, and you will learn from it. There are a lot of research that is being made of why this is a very good way to do a multiple choice, because it allows you to learn while you're doing it. There are no negative points, so you don't lose points if you get it wrong, you just get a 0. This is a scale, so to get a 12, you need to get at least 115. To pass, you need to get at least 65. And this will be hanging in the classroom, because then you can already know which one is your grade right away when you're finished. So there is no thinking back and waiting and being frustrated. You get to know it right away. It's adjusted to the normal curve, so more or less it works. Not more or less, it works because it's adjusted, so it's even better than last year. Important examples, what do you need to do to pass? You need to get either 13 questions right the first time you scratch them, or you have other combinations for it. And you're all engineers, so I'm sure you can figure out the numbers. Similarly, if you want to get a 12, you need to get either 33 questions right, so only 2 that are not right, or you need to get 22 right questions at the first time and 3 at the second time. So, when you're here with your test, you will have a green envelope. Inside the green envelope, there is a question sheet and there is a scratch-off. You have to fill in your name on the green envelope and on the scratch-off. On the scratch-off, you will write your name and student number up here. You'll write TEMO on the subject. And then you can leave the test number empty. There's no need to fill that up. I'm just going through this because we got a lot of questions of this last year. I know it's, yeah. And then here you can write down the score. So every time you scratch, you write down how many points you got for that answer. 5, 2, 1. We check this, so just so you know, we check this. So this is mainly for you to know which grade you get, not for us to put this in the system. But please do it, because it also makes our life a bit easier. So please fill in the scores here and then the total up here. And then you can see on the board, when you have the big table, which one is your grade. Do not remove anything from the envelope. You cannot take the question sheet home. If something is missing from the envelope, the exam is not valid, meaning it failed. So leave the question sheet and the scratch-off in the envelope. And in the afternoon, you will get on CampusNet a summary and overview of the questions with the right answers. So there is no need to take the question sheet home because you'll get it afterwards. So, summarizing. Wednesday, next week, 15th of March, 9:30 in these rooms. We will let you in when we are ready. You have been divided in the free class already, and we will put up the room where you have to go to on Friday, day after tomorrow. So what you do is on Friday you go on CampusNet, you go to the list, and then there is a search, and you search for your student number. There are no names, student numbers. So, and before you write us an email saying I'm not in the list, please use the search function in the add-on, because we got a lot of emails last semester, I'm not in the list, and then it was just a matter of searching for the student number. So just please do it before you write us. And then you go to the room with a pen, a coin to scratch. If you don't have a coin, you scratch with your finger. We don't have coins for all, so bring your coin, and an ID, and yourself, and eventually dictionaries. Yes. The people that have extra time, they have filed for it, and we have registered them, and they will be in one specific room So we will make sure that they have the extra time and that they sit in the front so they're not disturbed.
But they need to send me a mail even though they are in the DTU system.
Yes, so if you are in the DTU system already, because you have issues and you need extra time, you need to send an email to TEMO men, blah, 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 with the proof from the DTU system. So it's not enough to say, I have this lecture, you need to be approved by DTU that you have it for us to make the special time for you.
Actually, I check it if they are in the DTU system.
Yeah.
And if they are not, they have to go to one-on-one and register.
Yes, but this is something that you should already know. That's why we don't say it. Yes. Okay. Questions, go to temo.mandtu.dk. Please don't write to our personal email. Use that email. It makes it much easier for us to answer to you right away. Are there any questions? Yes, there are.
You mentioned the curriculum is both books, right?
Yes.
And also the case studies from the classes.
Yes.
Could you give an example of a question concerning the case studies?
The questions from the case studies are analytical questions. So we're not asking you who is the key problem owner of the continuous walk, but we are asking you to reflect upon specific issues in the cases. So you need to have read the cases and worked with the cases before to be able to answer the questions. But we have done this before, and it usually works quite well. So it shouldn't be a problem.
For example, a question can be you get a specific issue and you're supposed to put it, or a detail, where can this fit in business model canvas, where can this fit in the SWOT, for example.
Yeah.
So it's a correct answer. It's not like, oh, it's several answers and you just have to choose the one we like best.
Yeah. So it's not memory questions, it is analytical question based on the fact that you know the cases.
Yes.
Did you have a question here?
How come we have less than 2 minutes per question?
Because it's enough. We have calculated. The first people last year, no, but I'm saying it because we have, there are recommendations on how to do this, and we have tested it already. So last semester, I think the first people were finished after not even 20 minutes. And they were, of course, the super good, super fast ones, but there was plenty of time to finish. Yeah, and because if we give too much extra time, then everybody starts talking and so on. I think last year we had more time, and it was just too much. So you could see that the last 15 minutes was not for actually answering the question, but it was for communicating. And it disturbs everybody else, so that's fine.
But just to be sure, in the introduction to TEMO PDF we have an hour, and it's
we'll
from 9 to 10.
I'll change that in the document.
Okay, but
These are the right information. It's 45 minutes and it's 9:30. And it's, yeah, I'm sorry about that. We did the document a long time ago, so we'll correct it.
okay, and after 10:15, what are we supposed to do? Nothing, or go
Sorry?
home, or do we have some class after the exam?
No, after the exam you can go home. And is there project work in the afternoon? No. And there is no project work in the afternoon. So that day is just dedicated to the exam. Yes? I didn't say I was finished. We're not in school. Thank you. Are there any more questions? Okay. So then now you can leave. Thank you. This afternoon you'll meet with the TAs.
And good luck.